The identity of the British parliamentary researcher who was arrested for spying for China has been revealed. Reports claim the male suspect had links with Tory MPs as well. According to reports, 28-year-old Chris Cash was arrested in March. A few ministers in the UK were informed about the arrest then, but the details were released at the weekend. Cash was employed by Alicia Kearns, chairwoman of the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee. And he had close links with the Minister of State for Security and senior Tory, Tom Tugendhat. Tugendhat is one of the Tory MPs who have heavily criticised China in many sectors. He's even sanctioned by the country. Now, according to reports, Chris Cash was very close with ministers. Sometimes he even hosted them for regular drinks at Westminster. His first interaction with China was as a school teacher at an international school in Hangzhou. It was part of a scheme run by the British Council. In 2021, he was hired as a researcher for the China Research Group. The group of MPs are responsible to produce a critical position on China. One of the outcomes of the group is the UK's government ban on Huawei equipment from the 5G network. Earlier, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also conveyed to China his significant concerns about interference in the UK's parliamentary democracy. Sunak met the Chinese Premier Li Qiang on the sidelines of the G20 summit in New Delhi.
Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Well, I obviously can't comment on the specifics of an ongoing investigation, but with regard to my meeting with my Premier Li, what I said very specifically is that I raised a range of different concerns that we have in areas of disagreement, and in particular, my very strong concerns about any interference in our parliamentary democracy, which is obviously unacceptable.
Meanwhile, China has slammed the media reports. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has resolutely opposed these spying allegations. Beijing has labelled the claims as a political farce. Back in the UK, the Tory government is facing pressure to take stronger action against Beijing. Senior Tories are demanding to categorise China as a threat. Earlier, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has faced criticism from some senior Conservatives. They've accused Sunak of seeking a relationship with China, which they see as increasingly a threat. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Dr. Nigel Fletcher, political analyst and commentator, joining us live from London. Nigel, a fascinating story here. Just give us your summarisation, really, on UK-China relations at the moment and how you see this playing out over the coming days and weeks.
Good morning. Yes, well, as you say, there is now quite a lot of pressure from Conservative backbenchers led by Sir Ian Duncan Smith and others who have been very hawkish on China for some time. And a number of them have also been sanctioned by the Chinese government as well. So this is quite a long-standing issue within the Conservative Party and within British politics about the relationship the United Kingdom should have with China. It's been a topic of debate for some time, with some people thinking that they need to be labelled as more of an explicit threat. This story, for all its sort of drama and the appeal of a kind of a spy story in Westminster, I think really just highlights this division that there currently is, I think, between those who want to be more pragmatic on the relationship with China, seeing them as an important trading partner and as a rising global power, and those who think that China, as events like this seem to demonstrate, is a threat. So that, I think, really is the sort of more significant widespread issue here, that there is a serious debate now going on about Britain's attitude to China and whether it's a threat or not.
Let's just roll back a touch to the Chris Cash issue. And obviously, he was embedded in British political life. I mean, have we had precedent for this type of scenario before?
Well, there was a story a couple of years ago involving a Labour MP, and there was an individual in that case who was accused of being a Chinese intelligence agent. That was Barry Gardiner, the Labour MP, who was involved in that. But what we're seeing here is a similar story where a researcher who has a parliamentary pass allowing them access to Westminster has been implicated in this. And it's raised a number of questions about security vetting. But I think what it's important to say here is that this is not someone who's been a civil servant, someone who's got access to top secret information within government. This is slightly different in that this is someone who is working for MPs in the House of Commons, so they wouldn't routinely be exposed to the highest level of security information. They will undergo some kind of security check when they begin their employment at Westminster, but that's generally focused on whether or not they are a terrorist threat. Then there's a baseline security check that goes on there. This, I think, coming on top of the other incidents we've seen, will probably raise the issue of whether that security check that takes place for staff who work for MPs needs to be rather more intense, and whether or not we need to have, particularly for people. I mean, this was the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee we're talking about that this person was working for. So I think maybe MPs in more sensitive positions like that, there might be a case then for there being greater security checks from that point of view. As I say, I think this is something which is not the first time we've seen something like this in relation to China.
Dr. Nigel Fletcher, political analyst, commentator, many thanks for your insight there.